All right, so I figured I'd make an update video for some of you guys because a lot of you have been wondering what the heck has been going on. You have seen a couple of YouTube shorts and community posts that I've been having transmission issues in my truck. The garage is a pretty big mess right now, as you can see. This will be in another video. However, let's back up a little bit and let's tell the full story. So I was getting ready for Mini Mayhem, driving all the way up to Busco Beach, had all my stuff loaded up, the Arctic Cat 400, the off-road lawnmower, the motorized bike, as well as all my other camping supplies and stuff like that. I changed the oil in the truck before I went, checked all the tires, everything was good, checked the spare tire, pretty much did everything. I did check the transmission fluid level and it was fine. I just kind of did that as whatever. But yeah, I was like, all right, we're good to go. I'm gonna head on up there. So I'm heading up there. Everything's going pretty good. I was on Interstate 95, fixing to get off at Highway 13 to get to Busco Beach. And when I was on there, I was going about 65 miles an hour or so. And I noticed that there's a few variations, like 100, 200 RPM variation. And I was like, that's odd. Like the converter wasn't locked up or something. So I get off, I get on 13, I'm starting heading up there. And all of a sudden I just see a pretty big misting cloud behind me. And then, you know, the RPM started going up like crazy. And I was like, what in the crap? So I pull it back in third gear. I just held third gear all the way to Busco Beach. I did. I don't know why I didn't stop. I was just like, whatever. So I get up there, I check in everything. I look underneath. There's like fluid pouring all down underneath, right where the front A-arm is and everything. So I get back in the truck. I limp over to the camping spot. I find my usual camping spot that I stay at. I set everything up. I look around in the back of the truck. There's just mist of transmission fluid all over the tailgate and everything, all over the foiler, the trailer, everything. And I'm looking underneath of it. There's like fluid all underneath the truck and everything, mist of the fluid. So I get the foiler unloaded. I unhook the trailer. I unload the off-road lawnmower. I have all that stuff there. I set up my tent, everything. I was pretty stressed out the whole day anyway from driving all day. But when I got there, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have a good time. Everything's gonna be good. I had a lot of fun there, made a lot of videos, stuff like that. So Saturday night comes, I load everything back up. I slept that night. It was extremely freaking cold outside. And I didn't really have a heater or anything. All I had was just my body heat and the tent. I didn't have anything on me to fix it, by the way. And I was really looking underneath of it and I really couldn't find exactly where it was leaking from because it was all like tucked behind back where the engine part is and everything. So Sunday morning comes, I cranked the truck up. I didn't think I was gonna get out of the park, honestly, because, you know, it was just, everything was just acting weird in it. So I just held second gear down, just all the way out of the park. I didn't want to get stuck out there in the park because I'd be in some real bull crap if that happened with the trailer and everything. So I go, I check out, I get on the road. I just still hold it in third gear. I don't even try going in overdrive. I stop at the gas station on the outside, I grab some transmission fluid. I poured a quart in right there, and I had a couple of extra quarts with me. But when I was driving, I was going along a good ways, just 55 miles an hour or so, because I didn't have overdrive, at about 2,500 RPMs or so. So I'm cruising along a ways, see a stop sign, people around, so I got to stop. Well, when I stopped and tried to start off, I'll put a video on right now. I was just like, I'm gonna film a YouTube video on this. Yeah, I wasn't doing anything. Second gear wasn't doing nothing. First gear wasn't doing nothing. Third wasn't doing nothing. I'm just like, holy crap, I'm about to be stranded up here in North Carolina by myself with no friends or family or anything. It couldn't have happened around my hometown. It's gonna happen all the way up there, obviously. It's just the way life is gonna roll. But luckily I had those 2 quarts of fluid with me. I took those 2 quarts, I added it in the transmission, and lo and behold, it started off. I was like, thank God. So I get up and running. I ran a couple more stop signs after that. Yeah. Because, when you're having transmission problems, the best thing to do is just keep rolling. So I keep rolling, I'm making it on the interstate, I'm making it on back a ways, everything's pretty good. I'm still in just third gear. I made it to the next interstate, stopped, put some more fluid in, kept on going a ways for another 100 miles or so. I live in Georgia, so this is like a 400-mile trip for me, by the way, and I'm having all these problems. So I continue for another 100 miles, and, well, fluid starts running out again at the very top of a hill on I-20 and close to 520, and yeah, there was like 1,000 semi trucks coming. It was probably from, I don't know, probably from, I was standing here to where the car is. That's where all the traffic was going. The whole truck's doing like this. And I was like, Lord, please don't let me get hit on the side of the road. Oh, and I'll show you the funnel that I was using to fill this transmission, because I didn't have any funnel with me, and trying to pour all that fluid down that little bitty neck isn't really that easy. I bought one of these little funnels. I bought both of them, this red one as well, right here. I bought both of these while I was up there for $5 a piece for like filling up your 212s and stuff with a torque converter and a chassis if you can't get to it. But yeah, I filled that 1 quart left in it, and I managed to get back on the road. I keep going for a little ways. The leak's getting worse and worse, by the way. I stop again, buy 3 more quarts, add 2 in. I keep going on the main last highway that I gotta get on before I get back to my hometown, and it runs out of fluid again. So I add the last quart. I make it all the way to my grandparents' town, which is right outside my hometown, and I finally ran completely out. I didn't have any more fluid left. There was no more gas stations or anything. And I was left on the side of the road. And my grandparents and my uncle came and rescued me, gave me some fluid. I was able to get back to their house.
Right there.
And then from their house, started going home. And when I was going home, 3rd gear goes out. So all I have is 2nd gear. So I'm holding 2nd gear, $3,000 at 45 and 50 or so. All the way through the last little road, get on the small little interstate that I gotta get on again. They get back off, hold it all the way. 2nd gear is all I got now, so $3,000 at 45, and I made it home, all the way home. Drove it through in the backyard, and I just left it. So after about a week, I wheeled the truck in the garage, ordered some new cooler lines, started tearing off the front bumper and everything. I didn't videotape the process because it was absolutely miserable and it was freezing cold outside in this garage. But you can see in the photos, it's just, it was a big mess everywhere. It still kind of is a mess. I still got to go through and clean it. But it was hard as crap replacing those lines because they're one solid piece and they're like a big L going up, solid right here. But they got one little flex in on the end. Don't know why they didn't put the flex down here. But that's a bit of a rant on that. My truck had the auxiliary cooler on the front with, I think it was this line right here that goes out of the radiator into the cooler and then from the cooler back to the transmission. This was the line that was going back to the transmission, and well, there you go. That's where that hole was. And you can see by looking on the other cooler line that these have been rubbing for quite a while. So long story short, they sent me the cooler line that goes into the radiator, then from the radiator back to the transmission, not the other line that goes from the cooler to the transmission. And it was $100 for that extra line, by the way. And so what I decided to do in the meantime, I just hooked those lines up, then took the auxiliary cooler off of the front of the condenser and just decided to leave it that way because I don't really do a whole ton of towing with this truck, and it's really like an extra package. And as long as that fluid's running through the radiator and it's kind of cooling down a little bit, I think it's fine. So after a good amount of blood, sweat, and tears and getting my hands all cut up and crap, I get everything all back together, add fluid to the transmission, I put it in reverse, it goes in, I back up, put it in drive, it goes in drive fine. I'm like, all right, it might be good. It's not leaking anywhere or anything. So I drive, goes to 2nd gear, it's fine. It goes to 3rd, act like it's going to neutral. Yeah, so we don't have 3rd and 4th. All we have is 1st and 2nd, unfortunately. I pulled it back, I put it into haul, I've done everything, it's not going in. And I knew after driving 400 miles home, lacking transmission fluid and hydraulic pressure, that the 3/4 clutch finally just burnt out and shot. So I was like, all right, trans got to get rebuilt because, driving this thing around in 2nd gear, holding $3,000 and $4,000 everywhere is not really an option. The original plan was I was going to drop the transmission myself, do the rear main seal myself and everything, and probably change the flex plate as well because that thing was kind of making a funny noise when the converter would lock up at 40 miles an hour. It would kind of make a kind of clicky popping noise sometimes. It wouldn't do it all the time, but sometimes it would do that. I talked to the guy on the phone before. He charges $1,300 for the rebuild itself, which that's actually a pretty good price. But I was curious. I'm like, how much would you charge to pull it out, put it in, do the rear main seal? This is before I knew about the flex plate. And he said $1,750. I was like, you're going to do it. That to me seems like a pretty good deal, under $2,000 for everything new torque converter, complete rebuilt transmission, everything. Obviously, I don't have the tools, equipment, nor knowledge really on rebuilding the automatic transmission by myself. So I get the truck loaded up on I think it's the 7-foot by 16-foot trailer. It just barely fits on the back of that trailer. If I hadn't taken the bumper off, it wouldn't have fit. Within like 3 inches, I was able to shut the back just barely wide enough. Both tires were lightly scrubbing the side rails on that trailer. If I would have had the extended cab, there ain't no way it would have fitted. I told him to also check the flex plate, and he came back at me and said, yes, the flex plate was starting to get worn out. The holes that the torque converter bolts to, they were starting to wallow out a lot, and that's what was causing that noise that was going on. So he put me a new flex plate in, which is $100. So altogether total, $1,850 for the rebuild. I think that's pretty dang good. He also gave me a 1-year warranty as well. A lot of people in the comments on the YouTube shorts and everything were kind of saying, oh yeah, that's a typical 4L60 for you and all this sort of stuff. And they're kind of talking crap about the 4L60, but I do think the 4L60E is a pretty good transmission in my opinion. Is it the most durable? Is it gonna last the longest? No. For that, you probably want a 4L80 or a built 4L85 or something like that. But I do think they're a pretty dang good transmission, especially compared to the 6L80s and the 8L100s and 10-speed and whatever else they're making. I do think that if you don't tow with these things in overdrive, if you don't tow a crazy heavy load in overdrive and you pull it back in third gear like how you're supposed to, and I mean, you can pull like a little small load in overdrive. I do a lot of times, and you use tow haul accordingly, and you change your fluid within like 60 to 80,000 miles, somewhere around there. These transmissions will last a long while. My truck we have records, it was rebuilt at 140. I was talking to the transmission guy at the shop that rebuilt my transmission, and he said somebody's been through it before. And he was also telling me that the 6-speed, 8-speed, 10-speed transmissions that GM makes, they're all just crap, and he stopped working on them. So that says something. I asked him if the 3/4 clutch was the main problem. He said, oh yeah, it was totally shot. I was going to try do Lucas stop slip in the transmission to see if it would try and make third gear engage, but if the clutches have been so burnt out, then I don't think it would have probably done anything. I took it to work, pressure washed the condenser in the front end and the underneath and everything, so that way it's all nice and clean. So I got it back to the house, put the grill and everything back on it. I put the heat shield back on where the exhaust was. So now the truck has a new transmission, new rear main seal and everything. I think this thing's gonna last many more years, I think. If the motor goes, I'll pull the motor. I'll probably rebuild the motor. That's the only other thing that can fail, but as long as I keep changing the oil and all that stuff and maintaining it, it's gonna last probably many more miles, even though it has 300,000 miles and it's the original motor. The only other thing that could go out is the rear differential, which, I mean, I can just throw in any other rear differential or rebuild it or anything like that. It's a 342 limited slip, so it's not some open differential one-wheel drive bull crap. It does have a limited slip diff in it, and it's came in handy quite a few times. I just like older trucks like this. I just see a lot of the newer stuff, more complex. It's gonna fail sooner. I don't see any of these new vehicles really lasting 300,000 miles. I just would rather rebuild the old stuff and just keep driving the older stuff. It's just simpler. They still sell parts for them and everything. So that's pretty much what's been happening for the past couple weeks. Now since I got the truck squared away, we'll be back to working on some projects. Maybe not as many, but we got this little dirt bike here. That'll be in another video. So yeah, feel free to tell me your worst transmission stories and nightmares. If you've rebuilt 4L60E transmissions and you know a lot more about them than what I do, give me a note in the comments, some tips and advice you have to make these transmissions last even longer. Or what you guys think is the best automatic transmission, the most reliable, the most bulletproof, or manual transmission. I'd be pretty interested to know what you guys think. So you guys know what to do. Thumbs down twice if you didn't like the video. There's no reason to put thumbs down. And you guys should see me in the next one. Alrighty. Man, it feels so nice again, being able to cruise in fourth gear and not hold it back in third and driving this thing like a manual. It feels so nice. I'm glad to have it back.